All right, hello, welcome back. So, I did a video previously on the best place to live in Canada, trying to be positive. You know how it is. Some people say I'm a little negative sometimes, but I had requests for the worst place to live in Canada. So, this video, I'm going to tell you using the same data set and tools that I used last time, where the worst place in Canada is to live, or the worst places, depending on how you look at it, because there's going to be a list of them here. So let's start off with all the contestants, and then we'll get into the data to find out where is the worst place to live in Canada. Okay, first up, we have Langley, BC, a fast-growing Metro Vancouver suburb, one of Canada's tougher places to live. High housing costs, brutal traffic from sprawl, elevated property crime and homelessness, and lagging infrastructure rank it below more livable cities like Kelowna or Calgary. Constant rain, overcrowded schools, and limited amenities add to the daily grind. So, pretty depressing there, it sounds like in Langley, BC. But yeah, that's the first on the list. Next up, we have Surrey, BC. And I think this was a top one for a lot of people when I asked on X. But anyway, Surrey, BC, located in Metro Vancouver, offers cultural diversity and proximity to jobs, but it's one of Canada's worst places to live. High housing costs, high crime rates, including gang violence and auto theft, brutal traffic congestion, and lagging infrastructure rank it below more livable cities like Kelowna and Victoria. Constant rain, overcrowded schools, and visible homelessness also add to the reasons it's one of Canada's worst places to live. Now, the next one's on the smaller side. I didn't want to go too small because you could choose some faraway place in the Northwest Territories that's depressing and it has a couple thousand people, but I wanted to keep this above a certain limit. I didn't really have a number, but this one's got like 30 something thousand people in it. One of the smallest places, but anyway, it is Lloydminster, Alberta. So, the quirky little Alberta Saskatchewan border city boasts affordable housing and oil jobs, but it's one of Canada's tougher places to live. One of the highest crime rates in the country, soul crushing minus 40 degrees Celsius winters, remote isolation with limited amenities. Next on the list, in no particular order, is Regina, Saskatchewan. The Queen City of Saskatchewan boasts ultra affordable housing and blissfully short commutes, but also has stubbornly high crime rates, soul freezing minus 40 degree Celsius winters, just like Lloydminster, with howling prairie winds, endless flatness that breeds boredom, and limited cultural perks. Sounds like a beautiful place to live there. Wow, sign me up. Next up, Winnipeg, Manitoba. The friendly heart of Manitoba boasts ultra affordable housing and quick commutes, but also has stubbornly high crime rates, bone chilling minus 45 degrees Celsius winters, even colder than the other places, infamous mosquito swarms that earn it bug capital status, and flat, windy isolation rank it below more livable cities. Moving on to Ontario, and specifically Windsor, Ontario. On this list of Canada's worst places to live, thanks to chronically high unemployment tied to the volatile auto industry, leading to poverty and stagnation, it struggles with elevated crime in some areas, poor air quality from Detroit's industrial pollution, and municipal corruption, and a declining downtown core, earning it a Rust Belt underdog reputation. Wow, sounds like I wouldn't want to live in any of these places so far for various reasons. But the next one I actually do live in, and I added this just to make things fair because, Niagara Falls isn't the greatest city in the world. It is a tourist town. But anyway, I added it just to see how it compares with the rest of them. A lot of people do make fun of the region, especially from the GTA, saying there's nothing really going on here. It's a tourist trap and all the rest of that. So let's see when we put the numbers to the test how Niagara Falls fares. But anyway, ranks low among Canadian cities for livability due to its heavy dependence on tourism, which brings seasonal, low-wage jobs, high poverty rates, and economic vulnerability. Beyond the iconic falls, many areas feel run down with social challenges like homelessness, while constant tourist crowds create traffic chaos, congestion, and a tacky, over-commercialized vibe that prioritizes visitors over residents. And I can attest to most of that stuff. I live here. Niagara Falls has changed. It's actually worse than it was. It always was like this tourist town it was kind of depressed in the winter, but now it's changed a lot. It's been used and abused by far too many people and speculators and foreign students, and the list goes on and on. And of course, you do see more homelessness and drug abuse now than you used to. And I think that's fair to say for a lot of Canadian cities. But anyway, I live here, so I notice it. And this list would not be complete without including Brampton, Ontario. So Brampton frequently tops lists for Canada's highest auto insurance rates, plagued by rampant fraud, staged collisions, auto thefts, and carjackings. Brutal traffic gridlock, aggressive driving, and dangerous roads compound daily stress, while unchecked sprawl has spawned overcrowded homes, strained infrastructure, deteriorated services, and rising crime in certain neighborhoods. I would have to say that is fairly accurate. On to Toronto, Ontario. So Toronto, I'll put this right at the top. Let's just give them the prize right now. I'm not a big fan of the big city of Toronto. I know the people could be great, but I just hate driving in there, and I don't know. I'm just not a big fan. I don't care how many things there are to do there. There's just the drawbacks are worse than the benefits, in my opinion. But anyway, Canada's largest city has undeniable vibrancy and economic opportunity, but it's one of the worst places to live. Unaffordable housing, endless gridlock, elevated property crime, and a crushing cost of living put it well behind more livable cities like Ottawa and Quebec City. And Quebec City actually won the best place to live in Canada if you watched that video. Harsh winters and intense urban density only make the daily grind worse. So yeah, well said there. Thunder Bay, Ontario. Right, I don't know if you've ever been to Thunder Bay. You might have driven through it. There's only one way to get across Canada if you're staying in Canada and not going through the U.S. It's through Thunder Bay, Ontario. Maybe there is another northern road, but that would be the road most people take through Thunder Bay. Repeatedly tops Canada's list for the highest homicide and violent crime rates, earning the grim title like murder capital amid surging drug addiction, overdoses, and widespread homelessness. Deep socioeconomic struggles, poverty, and issues disproportionately impacting Indigenous residents compound the challenges in this remote northern city, where harsh winters and isolation intensify a pervasive atmosphere of danger and despair. Wow, sounds like something out of like Grand Theft Auto or something, this place. I stayed there actually when I traveled through it, and nobody broke into my car and it seemed okay. But yeah, living there is a whole different story, I guess. And lastly, Moncton, New Brunswick. The city struggles with high violent crime and break and entering rates that have at times surpassed larger metropolitan areas. This is compounded by an intensifying housing crisis, soaring rental costs, and a dramatic visible increase in homelessness and addiction, with wages that often do not keep pace with the cost of living. Nearly half of New Brunswickers earn below the living wage. Many residents face immense financial pressure. So pretty depressing so far looking at this list, but after this video, at least you know where to avoid if you want to have a happy life, a happy wife, happy life maybe. But yeah, we're going to go through this data here and put these in order and see which is the worst and other places you might want to avoid also. Okay, and just like last time, we used the data, certain sources for certain data. We have the quality of life indicators. This is from Stats Canada, and it gives a rating there. But anyway, we used this for one of the data sets. We also used the crime severity index to get the crime and the safety data. And we actually quantified the weather data using sites like this. So there was a method behind the madness. But now let's get into the data to see where is the worst place in Canada to live. All right, so here is the criteria. Again, we're going to go through these individually, so there's a screenshot of them. Housing affordability, of course, is an important one. It actually wasn't the main thing in this one. Last time I think it was, but this time it's not top of the list, of course, but it is one of the more important things I look at, as that's why it's highlighted in black there. But I did put this out to people on X and people on YouTube, so we're going to look at those real quickly here, just a minute or so. Where's the worst place to live in Canada? And I said, based on these things, and this is the general responses of what I got. Replies overwhelmingly target Greater Toronto suburbs like Brampton and Scarborough for crime and overcrowding, and Winnipeg cited for safety issues, aligning with urban density complaints. Now, the responses did name many other cities, small towns, and whatnot. Some of the towns are a little bit too small to include, but generally speaking, you have Winnipeg and the GTA from the responses from the comments. Now, let's look at the YouTube ones. All right, so just a few quick YouTube ones here. And we have for now, it looks like all of Canada is the worst for living. All Canada. And if you remember when I put the best place to live, they were like, not in Canada, a lot of people. The entire country is unaffordable, so all of it. High crime, LOL, you've been to the U.S. Used to be worth putting up with. Affordable, cohesive, nation pride, good healthcare opportunity. Much more harder to make it in Canada now. Canada, all of Canada, Canada, the entire country. I can't believe this. Like, give me oh, here we go. Toronto and Vancouver for housing. Oh, of course, yeah, Toronto and Vancouver. I don't like big cities, so I say yes for both of them. Time to send Carney out on a spaceship. Brampton, there we have Brampton there. Yeah, but we are basically a heart-centered people who have been taken advantage of by the corrupt British. And anyway, it goes on there. Winnipeg for crime. Regina or Winnipeg. The man makes no sense, or that map makes no sense. I think it was an AI generated map. Anyway, got to be Moronto. It's in the name Moronto. All right, so starting with safety, we have Lloydminster takes the cake for this. The lowest number is what counts here. We're looking for the lowest score, which will make it the worst place. So Lloydminster, yeah, it's got the worst. And from reading that description there, it said it had one of the highest crime rates, I think, in Canada. But yeah, that takes the cake on that one. Next, we move into happiness and community. And you know what? These are always from the 4 to 6 range. So Canada doesn't, it's not the most miserable place in the world, but it's not the happiest. And I think that they need to redo their scale stats Canada there, because they're all in that 40 to 60% range, which translates to these. So the most miserable places out of these areas are Langley, BC, Niagara Falls, Ontario, community and happiness. I guess it's not that happy here. And Toronto, Ontario, which doesn't surprise me. Sorry for all you people from Toronto. But anyway, if you follow me on X, I like to bash Toronto. It's all in good fun. But yeah, I would never live there still. Next, we have the weather. So this was from that one website. So I rounded them off to the nearest 0.5 here to make it a little easier to use this data. And we have Lloydminster again. Lloydminster has the worst weather, minus 40 degrees. I think Winnipeg was minus 45. But overall, I think they have more snow and more clouds and whatever else. It's not just the temperature that matters here on this one. So Lloydminster takes that one too with the lowest score. Moving on to proximity to a major city, and that would be Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay's up there. There's nothing going on in Thunder Bay. They get a 1 out of 10 for that. Or other places like Windsor. Now, Windsor, they earned some points because they are close to Detroit. And yeah, it's the U.S., but it's still a major city there. And yeah, you can still drive to Toronto or Hamilton or somewhere like that within a few hours. Whereas where you're in Thunder Bay, you're like out there. There's nothing out there. Amenities. So yeah, Lloydminster, and this is just things like anything, schools, hospitals, not just all the shopping stuff. It could be shopping also, but yeah, Thunder Bay and Lloydminster score low on the amenities. 7 out of 10 still pretty good because they still have the schools and they still have all the rest of that stuff. But yeah, Toronto obviously 10 out of 10, Surrey, BC 9 out of 10, Langley, BC a little bit further out 8 out of 10. Anyway, so that's how that scale goes. And moving on to scenery. Yeah, the scenery. Again, Lloydminster. I guess there's nothing. It's just like you're in the plains out there. There's no mountains. There's nothing. It's like literally barren wasteland, tundra. It's a tundra out there. And 3.5 out of 10 they get for the scenery. Where's Niagara Falls, where I'm from? 9.5. Yeah, we get pretty good scenery. Toronto, Ontario, 6.5. Look at Langley, 8. Surrey, BC, only 7.5. I don't know. You can't see the mountains from there, I guess. I think you can. But anyway, maybe you're going to see a lot of crime and gang violence too. So it's not really good, the scenery. And lastly, we have housing affordability. And of course, Toronto has the worst affordability. Now, I didn't include Vancouver in this because we had Surrey, BC. I think Vancouver would have scored very similar to Toronto. So that's why I didn't include it. So there's 2 places right near Vancouver. Langley, I guess it's however far away, an hour or 2. And Surrey's one of in the metropolitan Vancouver area. So, but yeah, so Toronto, Ontario, 1 out of 10. And look at the top there, 10 out of 10. In Lloydminster, you want a cheap house? Go to Lloydminster. You got high crime, you got crappy scenery, and terrible weather, but you can get a house cheap. In real estate, location is the most important thing. And yeah, they don't have any of that out there. So anyway, let's add up all these scores and find out where the worst place in Canada to live is. Where do you guys think it's going to be? I think it's pretty obvious at this point, but let's check it out here. And it is Lloydminster, Alberta. And there's a lot of other small places that would rank high up there too. So it seems like these small places in the middle of nowhere, with no scenery, like in high crime, they suck, right? They're depressing. But look at Langley, BC, Thunder Bay's right behind that, Regina, Saskatchewan, Brampton, Ontario, Windsor, Toronto. Toronto's, it's for a big city. It's one of the worst places, probably one of the worst big cities to live in the world, that's for sure. And anyway, the list goes on. Look at Niagara Falls. I shouldn't even have Niagara Falls on this list. It is the highest one. It scored higher than some of the other ones on the best places to live. But again, the scale, the rating was a little bit different on this one, so you can't compare those actual numbers. So don't go look at that video to compare them. So that was interesting. I want to know your thoughts. Where do you think is the worst place to live in Canada? Do you think it is Lloydminster, Alberta, Saskatchewan? It seems to be right on the border there. Or do you think it is somewhere like one of the big cities that we have? Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.